Welcome everyone, this is Indian Express of 27th August 2022 and I will explain this newspaper in 3 steps. First is why the news, second one is what is the news, and third one will be what can be the future prospects of the news. So starting from our first news, subject to conspirational scrutiny from the day I joined, suffered in silence, Chief Justice of India at farewell. So this was the day when Chief Justice of India N.V. Raman retired and he gave his farewell speech. Now new Chief Justice of India, UU Lalit, will join the office soon, and we see what he said. He said that he was subjected to conspirational scrutinies, and from the day he joined the bench till he reached the highest possible position in the judiciary. So he's talking that he was subjected to so many conspiracies and politics in the judicial system itself. Now what else he say? He said that he suffered in silence and also his family, but now he predicts that the truth will prevail. So this was main. The future is that our next Chief Justice of India will take office soon, and we'll see how he takes office and his work also. This man, the Chief Justice of India, N.V. Raman, has worked so well and also gave contribution to a lot of factors in our law system. So we'll see forward to our next CJI. Now what else is the news? Congress veteran of 50 years, Ghulam Nabi Azad quits, tells Sonia Rahul destroyed party. So this is a political news, but you should know that a leader that was a veteran leader who has joined in 50 years, he has quit the party and also told that Rahul has destroyed party. Now our next news is not yet time to drop caution on growth front, said Sitaraman. So why the news? Because IMF is doing economic, you can say, forecast for upcoming years, and it has predicted a growth of nearly 7.4% for next year, fiscal year 23. So now what Sitaraman has reacted to this is being given. Union Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Nirmala Sitaraman, said that IMF's latest projection of 7.4% economic expansion for India in fiscal year 23 was broadly in sync with the government's own assessment. So, but added that given the downside risk from external factors, it was not yet time to drop caution on growth front. So what she said is that the growth projection that was forecasted by IMF is same as the government has projected itself. So she was speaking at FE, which is the Financial Express Best Bank Awards in Mumbai, and also what she said next is said that Union Minister also hinted at sustained support to export. What she called about export is that exports are facing external headwinds and steps to attract more foreign investment. So she said that she wants to draw in more foreign investment into India so that the growth momentum is not lost. So because of the currency falling, so many of investors are leaving now India, but she wants them to return, and also she wants more investment in our India. Speaking on the issue of freebies promised by political party, what she said is that rather than question of what constituted freebies, she was more concerned about the tendency to shift the burden onto someone else, like electricity discoms, instead of funding them out of the budget. So she said that political parties making electoral promises should make adequate budgetary provisions to take care of expenditure. So she is saying that she is not worried about what freebies consist of: laptop, TVs, free electricity, free education, or anything. But she is concerned about how these freebies will be financed, how these freebies uh, will be assisted by the expenditure that government or state government or union government used to do. What she said next is, it is the one thing to empower people and provide them assistance to make sure that they can come out of the mire in which they are. So what she's talking about, she said that these freebies help people to come out of the difficulty that they are facing and be able to stand on their own. But it's totally a different thing when you talk about it in the sense of entitlement. So this issue, I already told you previously that this issue was because of the PM's caution against the reverie culture, and under which votes are sought by promising freebies. And also Supreme Court has expressed concerns over culture of freebies ahead of election. So as a citizen of India, you may know that whenever the elections come in our country, so many political parties do promise many things such as saris and laptops, bicycles, and free electricity, free education. All these things are promised. Now what's the fact is that if you promise free sari to a little girl, that's of no use. But if you promise free education to that little child, that will be of use. So instead of giving free gold, like some government in South gave free gold to women, this was of no use. But if you give free sewing machine to the women, that will obviously help in their economic growth, that will make their income more. So it depends on what you give to what person, not just giving anything out of curiosity. So this is the main point, that freebies are not bad. Every country, every state in the world give freebies, but not in the favor of votes, but in actually welfaring the people. So this is important. Now what Sitaraman said next, he said that finance ministry doesn't have any plan to impose any charge for UPI services. So this was also a case that came in last, I think, week, that UPI payment interfaces are not charged any services and any single money, and that concerns of service provider or cost recovery had to be met through other means. So what she is saying, that we see digital payments as a public good. People should be able to access these facilities freely, so that digitization of the Indian economy becomes attractive for people, and also through digitization we achieve a higher level of transparency. Therefore we still think it's not the time for charging it. So what she is saying that, so I'll tell you, for starter, I'll tell you that there is a UPI, which is a unified payment interface, and if some big businesses, or you can call it small, medium, micro businesses, and any person do the transaction out of this UPI, they're not charged a single money. So what Supreme Court asked government is that how they will then finance the running of this interface. So they said that the government said that they will do it by other means, but because they are doing it free for the sake of public welfare, public good, so that's why they will not charge it, and it's not the right time to charge money from the users. But it will do it from any other means, like some other tax. So this is what she said, that if budgetary support to digital payments ecosystem was found inadequate, it could be addressed separately. So this was the news in the first page. Coming to next page, which is Uttar Pradesh news. And then this is a news Paddy dwarfing Punjab agri-varsity decodes mystery, blames virus first reported in China. So why is the news? This news is because there was a mystery disease that hit the paddy crop, and because of that the growth of paddy was dwarfing. So now what the ministry has blamed, it said that Punjab Agrivarsity have said that it is the virus that was first reported in China. It's not the coronavirus. It said that it is southern rice black streaked dwarf virus, and it named after southern China, where it was first reported in 2001. So now this has been first time that is found in Punjab, and experts at Ludhiana based university, it said that the incidence of stunting, this dwarfing, shortening of the crop, was more pronounced in early sown paddy crops, irrespective of the variety. Now what's the main news is that they will also decipher the mystery behind stunting in rice in the shortest time possible, and samples were collected from different districts and also analyzed so that the rice pathogens should be detected, including 9 virus and 1 phytoplasma. So in future they will do PCR based test, and they will find out what really caused this dwarfing of rice, because it obviously affects the production level of a country. So it's very important, and a lot of population of India depends on rice, especially the southern states. They eat a lot of rice. Their meal is rice, and also in North India as well as West, East, everywhere. So if such type of problems occur in our agriculture, it's now in a short basis, but it can extend to larger basis like coronavirus. So this problem has to be resolved as soon as possible, and we'll see. This news will come in the future, what scientists will do for it. Now next news is freebies. Supreme Court refers issues to 3-judge bench. So now this is what is taking place, and freebies, I already told you that Supreme Court is now reviewing how political parties and political members do promise something out for the vote, and they will seek the reasoning and the proper manner how these are done. Now what's the past is that the 2000 verdict that was held in S. Subramaniam Balaji vs. State case of Tamil Nadu has promised that the freebies cannot be termed as corrupt practice. But what N.V. Raman said, some of the parties have submitted that the reasoning is above judgment, is flawed. It cannot be considered various provisions of Representation of People's Act of 1951. So that it said that it is not mentioned anywhere in this RPA 1951, and it said that it was also submitted that the judgment incorrectly implies that directive principles of state policy can override the fundamental right under Part 3 of the Constitution, which is against the law settled by Constitutional Bench of this court in. So nothing is nothing in the Constitution can override other things, except there is some exception given in the Constitution. So no DPSPs can override fundamental rights which are under Part 3 of the Constitution. Now what they call that, looking at the complexity of the issue involved and the prayer to overrule a judgment rendered by a 2-judge bench of this court, which was said that what this judgment was in 2013, that freebies are not corrupt practices. So what Chief Justice of India said, that they are listing a set of petitions before a 3-judge bench, and this bench will comprise Hima Kohli, C.T. Ravi Kumar, and itself the Chief Justice of India. Now, what the bench added is that at the time, the worry raised by petitioner herein that under the guise of electoral promise, fiscal responsibility dispensed with must also be considered. So also said that whenever you are participating in election, you must take care of what promise you are making and how that can be recovered from the expenditure. So ultimately, it appears that issues raised by the parties require an extensive hearing before any concrete orders can be passed. So it's talking that we have to discuss the matter, and also certain preliminary issues may be needed to deliberate upon and decide in the present set of petitions, which are what are the issues, what is the scope of judicial intervention with respect to relief sought in the patch of petitions. So it's talking that how judiciary can intervene in the matter of relief that is given to general public. And second number is whether any enforceable order can be passed by this court on the petitions, whether court can pass an order. Third is whether the appointment of commission expert body by the court will serve any purpose in this matter. So whether the commission can be of any help which is set up by a Supreme Court or not. What should be the scope, composition and powers of the said commission or expert body. So it's clear, and we will see in the future because it's very important issue that's coming in our nation. So we will track this, its ongoing process, and we will see how this comes forward. So now coming to the word page, this is the main news. This is catastrophe. UK household face fuel poverty as energy bills set to jump 80%. So this is an international news, but I will tell you in very short that UK is suffering from a major energy catastrophe, and it's all energy sources from Norway as well as from Russia, which is very less because it depends more on the Europe for its energy, and Europe is already suffering from the energy crisis. So what is happening is that the average yearly income of a British person is like some $2,000, and what is happening is that the energy bill is 4,000 some dollar. So you see the average income of a person is half the energy bill. So whatever you earn, if you are in UK, whatever you earn, you have to pay double for the energy bill. So this is an extreme, you can say, catastrophe that is coming in UK. Now all depends on Europe. If Europe from Norway is able to supply energy for UK, then this can come to halt. But if not, then the worst is going to come in winter also, because winter is not so far, and this will occur more in a more expanded way in winters, because it needs more gas, more heat, more energy in winters for keeping the houses warm. So we will see how this will come in future. Now next is Iaea mission to visit Zapposia nuclear station. So why this news? This news because Zapposia is a nuclear station which is in Ukraine, and Russian troops have invaded in this nuclear station. Now they are firing from this station, and the worst part is that Ukraine is also firing from elsewhere to this nuclear station, and this firing can be very lethal. And also the workers that work in this nuclear station are also Ukrainian, but this is captured by Russian people. Now one misfire and we can face the nuclear blast, you can say, and it can kill like 65% of the humanity. It is expected that if such nuclear blast occurs from this biggest European nuclear station, which is Zapposia nuclear station, then nearly 5 billion people can die. And you may know that the population of the world is nearly 7 billion. So 65% of the world population will be dead. So this is an extreme emergency and a grave situation. So now what International Atomic Energy Agency is doing is that it wants to take control of this nuclear station and wants to demilitarize this nuclear station as far as possible. But now both sides are not ready to do it, especially Russia is obviously capturing. Now what is the mission? Mission from UN's IAEA is expected to visit the Zapposia nuclear plant soon after it was temporarily knocked offline, and more shelling was reported in the area overnight. Fire damage to the transmission line at the Europe's largest nuclear plant caused a blackout across the region. Okay, so this is now more disaster. This fire damage to the transmission line, which is used as an electricity transmitter. Now this has caused a blackout across the region on Thursday, and it has heightened fears of catastrophe in a country which is still haunted by the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. Now the plants resumed electricity supplies on Friday after one of its 6 reactors was reconnected to the Ukrainian grid. What else is that the IAEA team will come to this Zaporizhia plant, which is occupied by Russian forces and run by Ukrainian workers. Now Russia is essentially holding the plant as a hostage. It is storing weapons there and is also launching attacks from around it, while Moscow accuses that Ukraine is recklessly firing in this plant, near this plant. And despite the fact that Russians agreed for a mission to travel through the territory of Ukraine, now they're artificially creating all the conditions for the mission not to reach the facility. Okay, so now what Russia is doing is that it's trying to artificially blockade the team of IAEA to come there. It does not want that to take control of this nuclear plant, but we'll see, because it's a matter of international concern, and it's a great concern also for humanity as well. Now what UN will do, what IAEA will do, and what the countries will do, we'll see in future how this will come out, because this must be resolved as soon as possible, else a great catastrophe is ahead of our eyes. Now next is economy. So here this is some private company news, and then this is a news that is important. US want India to join coalition on Russia fuel price cap. So why this news? Because as you know, India recently voted against Russia for the first time in the history of, you can say, not history, but first time in the 6 months since Ukraine and Russia war. Now what's the matter is that aimed at squeezing revenue streams of Moscow. What this is the desire of USA, that it wants to squeeze the finances of Moscow as a part of sanctions post Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now US on Friday has urged India to join a coalition seeking to impose a price cap on Russian oil. Now, so US has just found a leak from India. Now India has voted against Russia, so now it's trying to convince India that you also do same sanctions. Okay, that's very intelligent. But Indian policy makers are interested in learning more about joining the global price cap coalitions to keep Russian fuel prices in check, as it is aligned with India's objective of lowering energy prices for consumers. So this is, you can say, a very genius step. US is calling that you do sanctions and you reduce the fuel price and then buy it. So okay, we'll see how India will react to it. At the Mo met Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and discussed issues related to economic relations between the two nations and measures a limit the earning of Russia post its invasion of Ukraine. They also discussed Indo-Pacific Economic Framework and India's G20 presidency. So this was a discussion. We'll see how India will react, because obviously till 6 months India has not done any sanction. It does not have put any boundaries on Russia, but last time it has condemned Russia, so USA has found a leak. Now how India will react will obviously shape the world order, because till now India was not joining any axis, and it was saying that it has its own axis with the 1/5 of the population of the world. This is what S. Jaishankar said at a meeting. He said that why choose one axis when we are already the 1/5 of the population and number 5th in the economy. Now if India comes in the axis, that will seriously be a grave concern, but I don't think India will come in this pep talk. Now next comes the explain page, Chhattisgarh forest by mistake. Now this is what I explained, I think day before yesterday, and it was that state has sought to take back land that says that given to forest department by mistake. So what is the main issue? I'll tell you in very short, that there is a land which is called Orange area, and it was given to Revenue Department. Now central government asked that how can you give a forest land to a Revenue Department without any permission or any law, you can say. But what state government said is that this land became forest land by mistake, and now it was improving the mistake by returning the land to Revenue Department. So this is the main cause. Now the State Forest Department have jurisdiction over two types of forest, which is Indian Forest Act 1927, reserved forest, where no rights are allowed unless specified protected forest. Okay, so this is like Indian Forest Act, which are reserved forest and no rights are allowed unless specified. Now next are protected forest, where no rights are barred unless specified. So village or Nagar Palika or certain forests are managed by State Revenue Department. Now this FC Act 1980 applies to all kind of forest, whether under control of Forest or Revenue Department, and what it requires is that it requires an statutory clearance before forest can be used for any non-forest purpose. So if you want to use that land, that forest land, you have to receive that clearance from the union government to use it as a non-forest purpose, for example for industry or mining or construction. Now this is a Chhattisgarh case. I already told you that Orange area and all that. Now Orange area, what is Orange area? I will tell you that there was some distribution occurring. So you can say that there were few lands which were distributed between Forest Department on one side and Revenue Department on the other side. So now what happened is that few land left and it was not given to anyone. So this was the Orange area. Now what's the policy jam? Transfer of PFs, which is protected forest, to the Revenue Department continued until 1976, when reports of illicit felling in the revenue areas prompt Madhya Pradesh to seek a fresh survey to shift quality forest patch back to the Forest Department. But before this survey could be undertaken, so this is what occurred, because transfer was continued and there were reports of illicit felling in revenue areas. So now what government was doing is that new government that came to power switched the focus to settling encroachments, and this led to a situation where central required to clear non-forest use of forest land. Now this is all I told you in the last paper. So this is not that important. What have occurred, you must know that this is the main, I think. As the process continued in 2007, after Chhattisgarh has came into existence, state claims that some non-forest area also came under the forest department. So this is what is the main, that this non-forest area came to forest department. Now it is returning it back to the revenue. Also came under forest department as part of 2,328 square kilometer added to 9,954 square kilometer original orange areas of 1950s. Now this was inherited from Madhya Pradesh, and these non-forest areas, they claim this is being returned to revenue department. So different officials are saying different things. Now what happens now is that clearance for non-forest use of forest land under the FC Act requires giving back twice the area for compensatory afforestation from revenue to forest. So what this means is that if 1 kilometer area of forest area is given to revenue department for non-forest works, then revenue department have to return 2 kilometer square area to the forest department, and this would defeat the very purpose of the state government action. However, conversion of forest to revenue land has been exempted from CA under exceptional circumstances in the past. So it's very difficult to convert a forest land to a revenue land. It has been also exempted from CA under the, of course, regarding some exceptions. But when enclaves were moved out of the forest, Supreme Court allowed those to be resettled at the edge of the forest in the absence of suitable revenue land as revenue villages. So now when this forest land was given to the revenue department, the people who were living there were allowed to resettle at the edge of the forest. And it will be a stretch, though, for such considerations to apply on 1,000 of hectares meant for industries. So this is a complicated case, I would say, because we'll see how both the governments, you can say state government as well as union government, forest department, the stakeholders will take decision, because it's important as future forest lands which will be or which may be given to revenue land. This decision will be a, you can say, important milestone to decide the future of this forest. Okay, so I think this is the end of the newspaper, and the newspaper today was very informative, and you can see a lot of facts also. So now you can read this newspaper as well.